And now we are on YouTube. Now I just need to figure out where those docs are. Chat. There we go. Chat is there. So we'll put that here. We will move this down. Man, I wish I could get rid of that little banner. It takes up too much space. And then we get on the phone. Same thing here. Go. Turn that down. And we are good to go. Selectively Social, how's it going? My desk is such a mess right now. And I have like this lanyard and wires are going through it and stuff. Cables, I mean. What did I do? Man, I'll get that later. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You know, like genuinely do appreciate that. Because, I mean, there's very little, not like very little, there's simple reasons why I go live. You know what I mean? Like very basic reasons. Raising awareness and helping people not feel lost or alone, and, you know, fighting stigma. That's basically it. So I appreciate that it's appreciated. There we go. And that light keeps flickering. I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. All right. Okay, that's gonna bother me. We are gonna go without one of the lights. Stormy, thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. Okay, so what are we doing here? I am... Okay, all right. So, I am close to getting into C League. So, this is probably the only time that I'm gonna ask for like likes and shares and all that stuff, because that'll get me diamonds, and if I get enough, then I can get a fragment, and if I get that fragment and keep it by 9 o'clock tonight or in the next 5 hours, then I'll move up to C League, and then I get exposed a little bit more. So that's kind of cool. So I need to set like a goal or something, right? Maybe different than the heart me, but something not like super crazy. So let's see. It's probably like the only time I'll do that, because it's easy to maintain. It's hard to get to. Reset the live goal. And then what's something little? Let's see. Maybe, ooh, like if I could do like the tiny diny, that would be cool. Because that's pretty little. Just need to find it. Thank you for the hand hearts, Jen. Thank you so much. Thank you. And the heart me. How are you doing? How have you been? Do they still have the tiny diny? Doing okay? I'm doing okay too. Did a lot of cleaning. My office is, I can see my carpet. And I don't trip trying to get places. Yeah. Did that massager thing like just arrive, that neck thing? Hey Yoso, how's it going? Cause like that, I ordered that a while ago, and then like I got like an email like weeks later. So I'm curious. Not yet. Okay, I got an email with a picture that showed it on something. Let me take a look real fast. Because I think it should have been. Where is it? Do, do, do. Let me see. Here we go. I'll text it to you. Take a screenshot. There we go. Boom, boom. All right. Yes, yes. It looks like it was like lined up next to like a brown wicker box in a little like tree thing. Like maybe it might be like a fake tree. I don't know. But yeah, that was Thursday. Let's see. Can't sleep, Joe. So I'm sorry. Is everyone's mood stable all the time? No, not all the time. Actually, nobody's is, regardless. But more so, probably less for us. um, let's see. I knew it after studying psychology. I realized all this time I had ADHD. Um, yeah. Um, it was kind of weird to like look back and be like, yeah, okay, there it was, there it was, there it was, there it was. How did you take it when you found out? Uh, well, 42 years too. Wow. Yeah. Well, it was 42 years and 364 days. Never. I'm really level at the moment. So you are never stable, but you're but you're level right now. That's good, Dave. That's good. New rules and regulations go into effect on TikTok on. Great, Jay. Thanks for letting me know. It took a while to accept, Dave. Yeah, I definitely had my grieving moments. Thank you for the tiny. Okay, the tiny tiny does exist. Thank you for the tiny tiny and the heart me. I'm trying to find the tiny tiny to make that a goal, but like I'm scrolling through the list of everything and they're like not in order and there's no search and everything's just scattered. But I appreciate it. Appreciate the additional tiny tiny. Oh, there it is. Yay. Let's see. What would I need? I would need need yeah, I'll just put a big one down and just leave it. You got it? Good, good. Sorry, I meant to ask you earlier, but it's been so hectic with this IOP and and then the kids and all that stuff. Someone hid it from you? Okay, well, somebody does not want you to have a nice, relaxing neck massage. Boss Boo, what is up? How have you been? It has been a lifetime and a half. How have you been? Um, Took a while to accept, kicked out a toxic person, been a psychologist for a whole year. Or seen a psychologist for a whole year. Described how my brain has many tabs open and ideas, and it's exhausting. That's definitely a good way to look at it. Of course, Jen, of course. How have you been, Boss Boo? Hey, Bella. Thanks for sharing that. And stuff. Kind of seems like you're maybe a spammer since you have that WhatsApp thing there. Let's see, 0 following, 227 followers. Earn cash, blah blah blah. Yeah, I think it's a spam. So there we go. Blocked and muted because I don't want people in my life to have to see that stuff. I was in a 2-year trauma bond relationship. Yeah, those things can be tough. And especially when you identify it as that, and then you realize the danger, right? That's it. Not the danger, but you know, that is a spammer indeed. Hey, Deanna, how's it going? Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to kind of give the benefit of it, no doubt. You know, thanks for the club cheers. I appreciate that. And the heart me and Dave. Thank you for the 5 tiny dinies. Thank you so much. Yeah, really appreciate it. Done. Gotta get back to my. There we go. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's see. I'm doing well. Been focusing on practicing emotional intelligence, observing, and decision making. Wow, that's really cool. So, like, have you been like following any kind of like methodology or anything, or just kind of like focusing on the overall like idea of it and kind of just being more observant? Yeah. Ended that last Saturday, Dave. You know, good on you for doing what you feel is right for you, you know, and to help you be safe and stuff. And yeah, it's going. Hey, Deanna, have you done your notes yet? Do I take meds for ADHD? I do, but they're not really working. But I'm only on like day 4 of Concerta, so I'm giving it a little bit more time. But yeah. Oh yay for pattern recognition, microaggressions, and feeling vibes. I mean, kind of yeah, kind of yay. I definitely do like the pattern recognition, but the pattern recognition does come to bite you in the butt when you recognize patterns that are unhealthy, right? Or you recognize patterns that then cause you to doubt yourself or doubt others or doubt your reality, because a lot of times the patterns may be distorted, you know. So you're right about a lot of things with the pattern recognition, but then you can be like terribly wrong as well. So I mean, I get that. Feeling vibes is also one that is wonderful and a curse, because you can really attune yourself to people and understand people, and then at the same time your own feelings are very intense as well, and you know, like that hypersensitive to everything, you know, is also a part of that. Marie, thank you so much for the heart me. Yeah, so but Deanna, you didn't answer me if you've done your notes yet. I'm very, very curious. Dave, thank you for the heart me. Been creating social grouping criteria, having scripts for situations I tend to expect. That's cool. That's really cool. You know, like all the preparation and everything that goes into that, but then it's also kind of coping ahead. Like you're getting yourself prepared for something that is ultimately going to happen, right? And so it's good. That's like really, that's really good. Melissa, thank you so much for the heart me. Adventures with Beth, how are you doing? It was crazy toxic. I had to get back on my ADHD meds, hypersensitive to everything. I mean, like, if the medication works, it's one of those things that if you do get off of it, you kind of have to expect that like a lot of these things are going to get tougher. And then you have to balance out like if it's something that you can handle or not. But also keep in mind that a lot of times you may be used to certain stresses, not knowing that they're actually stressing you out too. So, and I will do my best. Okay, I will do my best, but no promises, because life's sometimes, you know, and when life's, you gotta life with it, you know. But and this isn't a normal time when I go live, so we'll see. But I will definitely do my best, just for you. All right. Did you sleep any? You saw me up early. Well, I did go live at about 8 o'clock. I fell asleep probably around 3 o'clock. Well, did I? Was it 3 o'clock? Yeah, it was 3 o'clock. And so, yeah. 5 hours. Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, scripts really do help. And honestly, like, I write all my scripts in the shower. It's always like, okay, when this situation happens, what am I going to do? When this situation happens, what am I going to do? What's some clever things that I can come up with, right? You know? And it's always like, make sure you have these little things like in your, you know, arsenal, you know, because then you can appear clever and all that stuff, right? And quick-witted. And when really it's like, no, I thought of this a long time ago. I'm just whipping it out now, you know. But yeah. Take L-tyrosine and lion's mane and L-theanine from Health Shop. Yeah, there's lots of ways that people can do stuff. And there's definitely natural ways that can help some people. And then there's sometimes people need a little more, you know, than that. I hit 43 and decided to play the victim. Man, I'm sorry, Faceless. That really is a bummer for you. You shouldn't do that though. You should give yourself grace, because whatever it is that you're dealing with, I'm sure it's difficult, but it's not you, okay? And you need to be able to allow yourself to have that grace, because without that, you're going to be a victim that you make yourself into. So please love yourself. All right. And if you can, obviously, if life happens, yeah, of course. If not, you can always DM me on Discord. Hey, Micah. Sleep is hard when stressed or grieving. Yeah, sleep is hard whenever your brain just has too many things going on in it, you know. And a lot of times it's really hard too, because when you have these type of neurodiverse traits, you tend to ruminate on things a lot more too, overanalyze things, think about things deeper, and all that does is create more chaos, you know. So yeah. 2 days sleep for you. I have insomnia on top of everything else. I had insomnia for like 2 years, and it was terrible. Like, and that was like the 2 years literally up until my crash, and then like a few months after my crash, and then I finally got my sleep back in order. But insomnia was a big part of it, you know, because you don't get any sleep, and then everything becomes much more stressful. Like, I was literally just setting myself up to burn out without even knowing it. Magnesium. But it does work for some people, Blossom, right? So I know you're pushing the natural stuff, but you know, we also can't put down the things that actually do work for people. Any non-stimulant meds that work for ADHD? I don't know, but I mean, I know that they exist, that there's a couple of them. I haven't taken them yet though. So definitely ask your psychiatrist, or do some research, and then, you know, find a psychiatrist and, you know, explain your situation, but don't use labels. Self-love. My therapist loves me. He gets all my problems. Then I ask him, does he need a therapist? Therapists have therapists. Absolutely. Absolutely they do. I mean, they obviously understand the importance of therapy, but then they also take on a lot of stuff too, you know, and so it's important for them to check in on stuff. So, I mean, I know plenty of therapists that have therapists. Yeah, so every time I lay down, it's tough, and I work nights. Yeah. How did I deal with my insomnia? Essentially, like, I had to, there was a lot of things that I did. So there was medication. Trazodone really helped me when it came to that front, but I also had to do a lot of stuff leading up to going to bed that would help me kind of regulate my sleep. So I was like taking showers at night instead of in the morning. I was, you know, making sure I was doing things like meditating before bed so that I could calm my mind, you know, and calm my body and stuff, like being a lot more intentional on slowing down, you know. And then like an hour before I would go to bed, it would be like, do nothing, sit down, do nothing, and just rest. Don't let my body like get worked up. The big problem was that like I had PTSD from an illness, and the illness was like the worst at night. And so I didn't even want to go to sleep for the longest time. And that's kind of what really caused it. But being more mindful of of the things that led to me not being able to sleep, or that kind of caused me to be too overwhelmed to fall asleep, was like a really big part. And then of course the medication and stuff. Addy works but doesn't help with sleep. Yep. That's why you don't take it too soon. And if the Shraz makes you groggy, cut it in half. Okay. Because it can be, you know, too powerful. And then it causes grogginess. But when it works the right way, it should just feel like natural sleep. You just fall asleep and then you wake up and you don't have a sleep hangover. So I also don't take it every night. You know, I don't want to get like adjusted to it or become like required to have it. So I only take it when I know I'm going to have a hard time sleeping. Got the 3-way tabs. But yeah, so there you go. But yeah, so that's that. Let's see here. All right. Melissa, thank you for the Go Popular and the I Heart You, and Micah, thank you for the Heart Me, and Melissa, thank you for the Heart Me. I appreciate all that. And Flycatcher, thank you for the follow. But yeah, so where's my water? Gotta drink water. That's also a very important thing, is drinking water, which is one of those things that would have been nice to know, you know, my whole life, was that, hey, you got to drink a lot of water. But the thing is with like a lot of the somatic therapy and stuff, it's made me like very hyper aware of like sensations, my environment, and everything, and how I perceive everything. Because I'm able to like kind of tell the difference between like when I'm very like in that brain fog versus not. And water is usually the thing that will get me out of that brain fog. When it's a specifically like ADHD, or when there's no like trauma involved, water really does amazing stuff. Marianne, thank you for the follow. And thank you guys for the shares. So this is probably the only time on this live that I will actually ask for people to tap the screen, like the live, and then share it. At least go to share and do the copy link thing. You don't have to actually share it, because I'm very close to getting a fragment that will put me into the C League from the D League. And it's easier to maintain that status than it is to get to it. And I happen to be close. So it's like, why not go for it? You know, because it'll only like allow more exposure to more people. Which I feel is important to make note of. I think your first comment was filtered. Yoga teacher here learned about these effects of trauma late in life. Yeah. But then of course, being a yoga teacher, you also like understand like the importance of like when you are kind of, you know, revisiting this trauma, you know, and working through it, how important it is to like be mindful and to allow yourself to be calm, and to, you know, practice things like box breathing and stuff to regulate your body. You know, that's one of the things I really love about dialectical behavioral therapy, is that there's so much like Eastern you know, types of practices and stuff that are in it, that are practical skills that you use that can actually work. Dehydration makes you lose IQ. Yeah. I would believe it, because I definitely can tell I'm much sharper when I get the water in, you know. But yeah. But yeah, water here. Mouse is over here. I can scroll down on this. I have that little, you know, app that I made to help me with the comments, but I need to update it because it needs to automatically scroll. It doesn't automatically scroll, so it gets stuck. So, yeah. But yeah, you know, that's kind of the stuff that I missed out on. I don't ruminate too much on like the what ifs and like, the, you know, what I missed out on, that kind of stuff really that often. But there are things that like simple things I wish I would have known, like to drink water more often, and a big thing, to write stuff down. I never wrote anything down. And even though even though the pattern of me forgetting was so there, I never wrote stuff down. And then when I realized I had this and started writing stuff down, it's like, oh yeah, this actually works. Do I have to live with these forever? I've had to live with them for the well. That depends, um, because there are things that I have that can be addressed, and then there's things that I have that are simply things I was born with. So it really depends. But the ADHD and the autism are things that, and the dyslexia probably are things that I'm just going to have to deal with forever, which is fine because they're under control for the most part. It's not too crazy. The complex PTSD, I hope that I'm able to conquer it. I hope that I'm able to get through a lot of it, because it's a physical thing. It's not like it's there is some mental component to it, like a small amount, but most of it is physical. Most of it is physical responses to trauma. Um, Things like my nervous system goes crazy, and so like I will get hypo aroused, which is like a lot of emotions, a lot of everything kind of like overwhelming you, and it's a trauma response. It could either be hypo aroused where you like have everything and everything's just coming at you, all the emotions, all the stuff, all the the desperation to get away, like all that kind of stuff. Or you can be hypo aroused, which is basically like giving up, just like in submission to it. And so it teeters between both. When I'm dealing with the CPTSD, when I'm dealing with triggers and all that kind of stuff. But yeah. So do I have to live with them forever? Yeah, but as I go on, I learn more coping skills. I learn more things that help me, with it all. And so over time, it seems to get easier, but I haven't gotten old yet, and I haven't gotten old before. So, I mean, I have gotten older, but as life goes on, I don't have enough criteria to know if it's going to get easier or not because it's only been a year. But once I get things settled, yeah, hopefully it does. We'll see. Because I really do want to get on a medication that works because I need an assist there. But so far nothing's really working, to actually help with that. But mainly that's because throughout the first year of trialing medication, there was a period of about a month and a half after I found this out, when during that month and a half I had started medication and stuff, but right after that I was re-traumatized, from my CPTSD from like childhood stuff, and that put me into fight or flight, which activated a different kind of brain fog, one that is more tied to my nervous system. And ADHD medication wasn't going to work because the ADHD introduced brain fog and the CPTSD did. And it would take away the ADHD brain fog, but it didn't matter because the CPTSD one was so much stronger. And so, and then of course the medication wasn't going to do anything for that. So now that I'm out of fight or flight, which has been about a month, I'm now like resuming trying different medications, with my psychiatrist and doing all that stuff. I am noticing more and more about the trauma responses. I get so nervous talking to others. You mean about the trauma itself, or is talking to people what triggers it? Only gets worse with age. Undiagnosed and unaware. Well, yeah. It gets worse with age if you're unaware, yeah. But what I'm considering or wondering about is, for me, with the knowledge of this and sort of the cognitive ability to kind of like see the progression of this stuff, like I don't know if it's going to get harder to manage over time, you know, which I assume it might, because I mean, think about the decline of just like cognitive function that happens naturally, right? Um, but this also may be preparing me for that, you know, who knows? So I may have better coping by the time that happens. And hopefully there's better medication by the time that happens, you know, but you know, we'll wait and see. Because when I consider time and what's been available and what's now available and all that stuff, there's potential for there to be even more, you know. So possible. But yeah, so but yeah, let's see. There was something that I wanted to discuss, and I made a note of it. Let's see, hyper awareness of sensory sensitivity. It's about how it's an awareness of every little part of your body and being able to notice every little thing that is off, and how something like a tag on a shirt can be so disorienting because it's a distraction from the normal. I think it was more just about like sort of me, this may have been something different too, of me just kind of like trying to dive into why sensory sensitivity like manifests for me the way that it does. Let's see. Not that. No. I don't know. It might have been that. Talking in general, I can't think of words sometimes. No eye contact. Typically look at the mouth. Yeah. And there was a really good video that I saw on Instagram. Let me see if I could find it actually, because it was kind of cool. And actually, what I'll do is I'll share it in my Discord. Not to, well, kind of to, but people can go to the Discord and then see it. No, that one. There we go. All right, here we go. Found it. Copy link, and then drop it into the Discord general section. So if you want to join my Discord, link in profile. But yeah, I will also drop it here though. And then if you wanted to like take a screenshot and then when you view the picture, highlight the text and go to it, you know, you can do that too. Nope, not that. Let's see here. Boop, boop. There we go. That one. Actually, it may not show. It didn't show. Never mind. Go to my Discord. TikTok doesn't like it when I share that stuff, I guess. I also have blink flurry. If I'm extremely stressed when I talk, my eyes flutter. Melanie, if you do join the Discord, send me a DM or DM me on TikTok. I'll show you a video of me doing that exact thing. It was like a promo video for a company that I worked for, and that's basically what happens. And it was like so like obvious to me, and it was like also like over 10 years ago too. Yeah. What was your experience going through diagnosis? It took a while. So, you know, I was very, very much aware of the symptoms of things because I had realized that I had them, you know, my whole life, and I wanted to kind of understand what it exactly was. So the first thing that I did was I started to identify like what ADHD actually was for me. So I wanted to better understand, and so I was waiting for like the things to happen, waiting for the ADHD stuff to like manifest in my life, and then I would, um, yeah. The video that I sent, is it resonating? Um, but anyway, the so I identified things. So like, oh, here's an attentive. This just happened, and oh, here's my challenging, my challenge with focus. Here's when it happens, and so I would start to like name it and then like feel it, understand it, and like focus on like why, like how, and like what's it like, and for me, um, when I was thinking about like my memory, and how I would just easily forget things, what I would do is I would like, think of something, and then I would like be like, okay, what's happening to that thought, and just like casually, just like kind of see it, and then like try and remember, and then being like, why is it so hard to remember this thing? And for me, what I ended up being able to realize was it was like my brain, regardless of if I wanted to remember, it was like pulling it away from me, and I would try and pull back, and sometimes I could, but eventually it just pulls harder. And so being able to explain that. Anyway, so do that. And then I went to a psychiatrist and I said, so I have ADHD, I think. And that was the wrong move, because it was like, why do you have ADHD? Well, and so I was like, okay. And then I spent basically the whole session, hearing everybody has ADHD and stuff like that, and so I knew that that wasn't going to be the way to like really get anybody's attention, because I guess people just deal with a lot of people thinking they have ADHD. And so I went back, and when I went back, to a different psychiatrist, I decided I'm not going to mention anything about the labels. I'm just going to talk about my experience, because it'll still end up at the same place. And it did. And so that helped me, get my first experience with Adderall and to see how it could change. But then also kind of showed me like how important it was for me to understand this stuff before I go to someone, because their only idea of what I'm going through is whatever I tell them and how I tell them. And so, yeah. Yeah, Joso, the video explains it so well. So for those of you who don't know, it talks about how like when somebody says something to you and you don't hear it, and so you say, what was that? And then halfway through it, you hear it, like you remember it. And so you start talking, and they're like, how come you had me repeat it if you heard it? And it talks about like why that happens to the brain, which, that's a very common thing for me. I heard so many times, like, why did you make me repeat it if you just remembered it, and so, yeah, go to my Discord, link in profile, and then in the general channel is a link to that video. But it really is it's a good video. It's been liked like hundreds of thousands of times too, so resonated with a lot of people. But yeah, so that was my experience. Now that was talking to the practitioner. Now, as far as getting tested and the diagnosis and all that, that was a bigger part. It took me about 6 months from when I first discovered it to when I was able to take a test. And then it was maybe a couple months after that I was able to get the results. So I didn't really have any definitive, like final, like answers and stuff until like the end of January of this year. And so then by that point, I was like, okay, I officially have the answer. But I needed the official answer because getting on stimulants is a heart risk, and my dad passed from some kind of heart failure. Unfortunately, I don't know, and so it makes me be a little cautious about that stuff. I'm good. Are you good? Yeah. Of course, Robin. Of course, I appreciate you. Ocean View, thank you for the heart me. How are you? And Melanie, thank you for the love you so much. And Melissa, for the Go Popular and the I Heart You, although I think I already said thank you for that. But thanks again. You love to drop in when I'm on a good roll. It happens sometimes. Or a good troll, right? When I'm on a good troll. Advice on people who think they have one of these, but parents who don't believe in mental health. Whoa. You're speaking of my youth. Holy moly. How old are you? Is 19 too old for ADHD diagnosis? I have OCD. I got my ADHD diagnosis when I was 43. 16. Okay, so you still have a couple years. I think the thing is that you don't mention ADHD. All right, and I just talked about labels with practitioners. When it's people who are challenging you, that's when you don't use labels. That's when you just talk about your experience. Because how is somebody going to dispute you saying, you know, I try and focus, I'm working on focusing, but I just can't, you know, and it's so difficult, it's so hard, it's so challenging, and no matter how hard I try, I just cannot. Like, and it's so debilitating, it makes things so difficult. Who's going to argue back with you on that, right? And so you start to talk about the things that you're dealing with. It humanizes these things for you, you know, because you're sharing your struggles, you're sharing how difficult it is. And you know, the thing is that, yeah, that's, you know, mental health and stuff, but wanting to focusing, these are things that people do, right? Like, you don't have to believe in mental health to know that you have the ability to focus on something. And so when that part is not working, something is wrong, right? Doesn't matter if it's mental health, you could say it's like some kind of blood disease, something, you know, but at the end of it, just talk about your experiences. And regardless of where the problem lies, all that other stuff, you want these experiences resolved. So just focus on that. Focus on talking about your experience, and avoid labels, especially for people who are going to try and invalidate you. That all that does is arm them with the label, right? But again, they can't argue your reality of what specifically you are going through. So I've tried time and time again, but they just say the world keeps spinning and I have to try harder. I was told to try harder, and because I can't read a book, right? I would go and read one page and then I moved to the next. I would forget the first page. That was something I told my parents. I told my mom this twice, from 2 times I can remember, like actually remember those times now. And both times she told me, just try harder. Okay. And that pretty much, my autistic, you know, literal thinking brain said, okay, approach these things by trying harder. And I tried so freaking hard. And I failed over and over and over again. But I had already said it twice. I had already brought it up twice and was told to try harder. I'm not going to bring it up a third time. So yeah, I'll just try harder. And fast forward, I'm 43 years old and my nervous system gives out because I'm way too overstressed, because things are just way too difficult. And I lose my executive function. Okay, I don't have executive dysfunction that makes things chaotic. I lose my executive function. I have no coping skills, nothing, just terrible memory and terrible experiences. That's it. That is what trying harder does. That is the wrong thing to do, because trying harder for somebody who already gets, you know, stressed out easier than other people doing the same tasks, you're asking yourself to just bombard yourself with stress. Okay, and that stress does not go away. You add it to your system and it stays, and then you add more because you have to continue trying harder, and it stays, and you add more and more and more. It never goes away. It just adds up and adds up and adds up, and then you crash. And I'll tell you, hitting burnout was so painful, like emotionally painful, not so physically much, but it was painful to me as a person, because it was like a rock bottom of like losing your mental cognition. Okay, it was so hard. I mean, I could get emotional just talking about just the burnout. So even though you're being told try harder, you know, that's not the right advice. But there are skills and things that you can do now to help yourself in the interim. So while you cannot make, you know, your own decisions when it comes to like medication, all that kind of stuff, you can still tap into skills that can help. And so what I would do is, you know, for any specific issue where you're saying, I'm having trouble with this, search on TikTok, because there's going to be people out there. There's TikTok is amazing, okay, for many different things, but the reason why it's amazing is because of the people that are there, and the people who are sharing what they know, you know. And it's much more than, hey, here's how you can drain pasta, you know, without burning yourself. It's like, okay, cool. And then you get people who are like, hey, if you have ADHD and you're struggling with this, here's how I addressed it. Here's how I approach it. And you get so many different examples, so many different things that are out there that are just practical tools. Nothing to do with medication, just practical tools. And so I'm sorry going off on this so much and ignoring all the other comments, but it hits home to me because I was told to try harder, and it was the wrong thing. That is like the core source of why I hit burnout, was simply because my mom said to try harder, and did not give it a second thought. And especially when I brought it up a second time. Yeah, I'm not a professional. I'm not a doctor. I only have lived experience, and try harder was the worst advice I ever got. So focus on the skills, focus on those things. And then when you can, you know, when you can make decisions for yourself, right? Start making some decisions. But you could also right now start to research, start to look up the things, because you're going to want to be invested in your mental health journey. You want to play a part in it. You don't want to just give it to a practitioner and say, deal with me, right? No, you want to have an active part. So start to get to know yourself, get to know these things, get to know how it manifests, get to know how the struggle's there, get to know when these things take place, because all this information is going to make you so familiar with it that by the time you can talk to somebody, you're going to be an expert in you. You're going to be an expert in your experience, and you'll be able to, you know, articulate clearly what's going on with you. So, you know, just my advice there. Yeah, now I'm gonna scroll back up. Let's see what made me want to get diagnosed. Hitting burnout and just not being able to deny that I had ADHD, because that's basically all it was. But then also my life experiences prior to that. It just basically, like I said, hit a rock bottom where my only move forward was either give up or get some help. And I wasn't ready to give up. I was ready to find some answers because it had been just way too long. Is your CPTSD about if you feel comfortable? Oh, what is my CPTSD about if you feel comfortable? I do feel comfortable sharing. It's my parents were fundamentalist Christians, probably still are. They had this book from the like late 70s, early 80s, from the founder of Focus on the Family, rest in pieces. And he basically encouraged parents to keep in order to get their kids to listen, you have to take away their will. And you do that through severe punishments. You do it through fear. You do it through all these different methods, which for me worked. But unfortunately, it didn't take away the child's will. It took away the person's will. So as I got older, I had this unhealthy attachment to my parents. I had a lot of sort of reliance on them because I never had autonomy. And it really just like creates this codependency. And, you know, if you look up the strong-willed child and you look up, you know, search for communities, there's a community of people there. I'm sure there's a community on TikTok of people who grew up in that house. And the thing is that that's part of it, right? And yeah, a lot of people go through corporal punishment, right? That's one part. But what caused the CPTSD? I was ADHD. I was getting in trouble for forgetting things. I was getting in trouble for not doing what I was told because I would forget. And so I was getting this severe punishment for things that were not my fault, for things that I didn't choose to do, for things that were out of my control. And so I was very confused by why I had to experience these things. And that created some trauma confusion there too. And my parents were not emotionally regulated, which means they probably suffered with some of this stuff too, because it's very common. And so they got a little aggressive, a little too aggressive. I, as a child, would eventually have to learn to dissociate. I would black out lots of times. I would be told to not make any noise while it happened because people would hear me. And then sometimes I would be told, nobody can hear you, so make as much noise as you want. That's not going to help. And so it was traumatic in a psychological way too. And yeah, so yeah, yeah, that's kind of the trauma there. But the thing is that it happened from ages 3 years old until about 8 years old, where it was constant, repeated, constant over and over. So thousands and thousands of traumatic events happening in my early years, which then, like I said, because of the book, creates a certain unhealthy bond. But then as far as my behaviors go, I grew up in chaos. I grew up responding to fear. I grew up responding to panic. And that was how I would respond to things. So, learning how to say, how are you to somebody is out of panic, right? Learning how to interact with people, it was all based on panic. And so a lot of the things that I deal with bring panic because my natural response is to panic. And these are like things that I learned very, very, very early on that I can't just like will myself out to think. It takes lots of therapy and lots of inner work to be able to disconnect these things and essentially reparent my inner child, which I've been doing. But it is such hard, difficult therapy to go through, so yeah, that's the CPTSD. I'm going to scroll down all the way, so I'm sorry if I missed any comments, but I just want to get caught up. So if you did send a comment, please send it again. And also, for those of you who don't know, since I just put that thing up, we are also cross-streaming on YouTube. So let me adjust these things. I'm not going to be able to, am I going to adjust that? Nope. Sorry. Anyway. Which one? Ask again. I'll take that off for a second. Move this up here. And then we move. Oh, wait, that can't go there. Guys, I'm struggling. Just kidding. I'll get back to the questions right now. Where's the ask again? There's the ask again. Oof. There we go. Can move that down a little bit. And then I can move that down a little bit. And now we're good. All right. Sorry. I used to black out too as a child. Yeah. That was the part for me that actually helped me get back to or come to some realizations of why certain things happened and everything. Because for me, I had trauma responses that were due to the dissociation. They were due to the fact that I dissociated while being charged with a lot of emotions and stuff and never fully processing them, which is what trauma does. It's emotions and things that are not processed. And so, wondering why I never viewed, well, really what it was I never felt betrayed by my parents. And so because of that, I never processed those emotions. I never actually accepted that I was betrayed. And so that actually traumatized me for myself, because I was like, why do I not respect myself enough, having gone through this, to just tell my parents off, why? And that was so confusing for me. Like, how could I go this many years with never, ever, ever bringing it up and never, ever defending who I was as a child, right? Like, that for me was so aggravating for myself. Like, I felt like I betrayed my inner child by never bringing it up. Um, and so, yeah, I love these things, and so I bring them up every time. But one of the ones that I got is dissociation. So this kind of is part of what dissociation was for me, which is basically spacing out. You tune out everything, and the time just goes, and you just disconnect from reality. And sometimes that's the only coping mechanism that you can have, is just to just disconnect from reality. And it really sucks that I had to learn at such a young age how to do that. But the thing is that still happens today. And because it happens today, that's how I was able to realize what dissociation was. I was talking with a friend who has dissociative identity disorder, and I was asking him questions about what dissociation is like. And so he was telling me, and I realized that's the thing that I do when I'm like really, really sad. Like when I'm grieving, like when my dad died, I was crying so hard, and then after that cry, I dissociated. And I was like, that if I do that when I'm sad, that must be learned behavior from being like when I was a child. And so then that's when I realized that's that safe space that I would go to. I remember dissociating. I remember being dissociated because I was still present, but I was purposely numbing everything in my body to just try and survive. And one of the beautiful things about it too was that, like, I would hear something tell me, like, you know, that I'll always protect you. Like, I was hearing comforting things as a child nurturing me, you know? And I didn't even realize that until like this last year, because I always knew that I heard that voice during those times, but I also never talked about those times. But when I put those connections together, it was awesome, you know, for me to like know that I was taking care of myself. It wasn't just the happenstance of, oh, I stumbled upon dissociation. It was like my brain said, no, here, I'll give you this. You need this right now. And honestly, up until that point, I was actually mad at my brain for all of this. I was very mad at my brain for all of that. But when I learned about dissociation, I fell in love with my brain, because I was like, you were there for me when no one on the planet was. When the only people who would care about me are the people who are doing the thing to me. And so that helped me also give myself a lot of grace when it came to dealing with this stuff. Because I realized it was survival. It was my brain saying, you can't do anything. You're too young to figure this out. You're too young to handle these emotions. Let's tune you out. And so, you know, I am appreciative of that. I'm appreciative that I still did that, because without still doing it, I would not have been able to realize that that's what I did as a kid. I just remembered that as a kid, there was this place that I could go where I wasn't really asleep, but I wasn't really awake. And that it was someplace I could go when I was really scared. And so, yeah, it was huge for me to be able to realize that, because then after that, I was able to understand the science behind it. Once I understood like kind of like the pattern, then it was diving into, well, what is this actually? Dorsal vagal shutdown. It is also, I forgot what specific dissociation is. But yeah, I mean, I got like all the scientific terms, was able to get a lot of the things confirmed and everything. And for me, that understanding helped me, because I was very confused. Why am I not mad at my parents? And it was because, well, you dissociated with all these emotions. The emotion of betrayal was there, but you weren't allowed to process it. You had to dissociate, and you stayed dissociated until the threat was gone. And then you came out of it and went about life. I never actually sat with the feeling of being betrayed and processed it and understood it and knew this is not right for you to feel this way. You know what I mean? So it was very, very, very enlightening for me to like find out what dissociation was, because when I found out what dissociation was, it solved so many little things like all at once. I realized dissociation was this whole group of things that I did, which again was like very enlightening because it helped me process a lot more of sort of that shock of why I was not so mad, you know. Well, I've been doing that my whole life. The dissociation assessment on Wednesday. Super nervous. Michael, good luck on it. You know, just here's the thing. While taking the assessment, you're probably going to feel like an imposter. Okay? Spoiler alert. Okay? You're going to feel like you're going to have some imposter syndrome. Very, very common. Okay? Just answer with what you know is the truth. And yeah, for me, when I got the simple assessment from my psychiatrist, it was like, I can't fill out this form, just check yes or no. And it was like, yes, 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 yes. And I just like started getting emotional as I'm going down it. And then I'm like now I feel like a fraud because it's yes on everything, you know? Yes, yes, yes. And so I started to second guess myself. But the reality is that like by the time you get to that, you already know so much about yourself, you know? The shame that you feel, okay, that is a hard thing too. But that is also something that for me, as far as all this stuff goes, I was so desperate to get that shame gone. And the way that I did it was, you know, kind of realizing for me that, you know, all these things that I dealt with, you know, were things that were outside of my control. You know, ADHD and autism, well, you know, born that way, that kind of stuff, you know. Dyslexia, yeah, you know, somehow, some way, I just, you know, would get my words mixed up. Who knows why, you know, all that stuff. Complex PTSD, that one was the surprise though, because I knew my childhood sucked, but I didn't know that I was traumatized until, you know, my brain reminded me. And then it was like, hey, you forgot to process this stuff. You forgot to take care of this. And now it's time to do that. But the way that I like to look at it is that my brain gave me the ability to dissociate so that I could handle these big emotions and these big events when I was ready to. And when I fully understood as well, because I think it also took me having to be a father and to have a son that was the same age as me, that reminds me of me so much, and to think, how could a parent think that this is the right thing to do? Especially a parent who believes in God is love and all that stuff, right? Because it's very confusing, especially for a literal brain that goes to church and learns all these things about how great Jesus is and how much he loves everyone and how much he heals people and feeds people and you know, spends time with the poor and the marginalized. But how come the people that I'm going to church with are not doing that? In fact, they're very mean to other people. Like, there's so much confusion that I had. And again, it was fundamentalist, so not saying that about everyone, but it was a different group. And it was so confusing because I could not compute it. I could not understand any of it, which again kind of creates that whole trauma of just not understanding. Drag for the second time today, Tucker. Awesome. I am the same in every aspect. Well, so is sharing. Hopefully you're talking about the assessment. A whole dossier of details from my past. Yeah. But to go back to this, to the shame part. Okay. When I realized I had all these things, like I knew I had ADHD, autism, dyslexia, the complex PTSD. That was the new one, but I knew about all the difficulties I had with ADHD and you know, autism and dyslexia. But I honestly just thought I was stupid because, like, yeah, it takes me longer to do things. Yeah, when somebody asks me a question, I need a couple more seconds to answer, you know, because I'm trying to process it all, trying to think it through, trying to make sure that I understood it properly, you know. and I just thought I was stupid. But then when I realized what ADHD and autism and dyslexia actually were and how they manifested in my life, you know, like a lot of people who go through a late diagnosis, you start to realize nearly every way that it impacted your life through specific scenarios and specific things that you went through. And what I saw in that was not failure, but what I saw was something that I was going to fail at regardless. Okay. I knew, well, crap. I tried and I failed and I tried and I failed, but I was always going to fail. And so there's a path you can take from there. The path of I'm a failure. It was always going to be a failure. I'm destined to be a failure. I took a different path. I took the path of it was never my fault. All this time, I thought it was me, but it wasn't me. And when I realized that, I gave myself so much grace. I was like, you beat yourself up over this. You blamed yourself, but it wasn't you. And so rather than going the path of I'm always a failure, I went down the path of I can't even think of the right word right now, but the path of healing, the path of going and what is the word that I'm thinking of? You sound very articulate, and then here I am. Basically the path of giving myself grace, the path of realizing and understanding and knowing that it wasn't my fault, knowing that that I could not have done anything. So why beat myself up over something that I was destined to fail at? You know, I actually tried. That should be good, right? Like I noticed it and I wanted to address it many times. That's good, right? That's growth. That's a growth mindset. And it just helped me realize that all the blame, all that's failure, it wasn't me. It was ADHD. You know, it was autism. It was dyslexia. It wasn't me. And so that took those things out away from being like, okay, here's the profile of Tim. Here's all these things too that make him so dumb. Taking those things out and being like, actually, no, that's ADHD. Actually, that was autism. Actually, that was dyslexia. And I'm going through taking all these things out that were the things that I hated about myself that were directly connected to this failure that I continuously had. And when I did that, I realized that not that I was a victim, but that I had been victimizing myself. I had been doing that because I beat myself up over it. And instead, I finally had something else to blame, something else that was actually at fault. For once, it was something else. And that was a huge gift to me, to be able to accept that it wasn't me, that it was these other things. And that's really where, for me, I decided that this isn't going to be something that's going to chain me down. This is going to be something that I will conquer because I always wanted to conquer it. And now that I know it's ADHD, now I know it's autism, now I know it's dyslexia, now that these have names, there's skills, there's tools, there's research, there's science, there's so much now that's attached to these things that I struggled with. And so for me, that fired me up because I was like, finally, there's some hope that these lifelong things that I've lived with can be managed and dealt with, and I can lead a little bit more of a fulfilling life. And so that is how I dealt with the shame. Giving myself grace, allowing myself to forgive myself, basically just coming to a consensus of saying, all right, we're not to blame anymore. Let's not blame ourselves anymore. And truly accepting that. And honestly, I was desperate to accept that because of just how badly I felt about myself. So it was a good moment for me, but also a moment that, you know, was hard to do. You know, it was good, but it was very challenging. So, what's autism like for me? Autism is like um, literal thinking, like very, very, very literal, and like a very deep core part of like your understanding of like when you comprehend something. I use the example of as a kid, um, I saw an instruction manual that said like, you know, after you're done with this, you replace the cap, meaning put the cap back on. But I thought it meant you take this and you. Sorry, hold on a second. I had something triggering just happen. Um, Disoriented now. Sorry. Um, Autism. Um, Literal thinking. Yeah, you take the cap and you put the. You know, I thought it meant replace it, like you have to get a new one, but really it was put it back, replace it. And for me, there was no nuance. There was no nothing, and so that's just like a little example of sort of how like it becomes something to where like you don't even question like your understanding of a particular thing. You just go with it, and a lot of times it is just the literal part of it. So that's part of the literal thinking for me. I also have selective mutism, kind of like when I was just triggered and I just kind of like froze up. Similar to that. And I need to just turn on my focus. Do not disturb. Phew. All right. Yeah. Hello, Anne. And then I also have meltdowns. I have sound sensitivity. So sensory sensitivity, both visually, audibly, and then also touching things like certain fabrics, cotton, like FML. Okay, I hate cotton, especially cotton balls. Okay, like it'll destroy me. Like it'll destroy my nervous system because the way that I feel overwhelmed from sound sensitivity and all that stuff is my nervous system will like give me the sensation of like chills, but the chills are extremely painful. It's like pins and needles, like electric shocks all over your whole body, and it goes with the sound. So if I hear an unexpected sound that's like boom boom, I will feel boom boom in my body with pain. Okay, not necessarily shaking me, but a lot of it is internalized, but it is physically painful. The way that I masked it was by turning music up loud when I got a Walkman, and eventually just it didn't hurt anymore. But I internalized it into my back, and you know it became aggravation, it became all this other stuff. But hey, I listen to punk. There's some aggression in there, you know. But really, at the end of it, it's like Melanie just said, super heightened senses, very, very, very heightened senses. In a way, it's kind of good. I hear a lot of things that other people don't hear because of just how much I like. Here's the thing with autism, there's a certain part that, well, there's a part that everyone has that kind of filters out what's necessary and what's not for you to like, you know, be thinking about all that stuff, right? For autism, that part does not work properly or work the same. So you get a lot of stuff and then you have to sort through it kind of on your own. And so that, why did I bring that up? I don't remember. The ADHD is kicking in. But yeah, it's, there was some reason why I brought that up. It has to do with, oh yeah, the sensitivity. Since I don't filter out what's necessary, I actually get those signals. I see those signals. Things like people's facial expressions. Like I will remember everyone's facial expressions from any kind of thing. I'm able to tell when somebody's uncomfortable because I can see how uncomfortable they are, even though I'm not paying attention, you know, like that with my eyes. And then I have to, you know, for my eyes to help with overstimulation, like I wear like colored glasses sometimes because it helps filter out some stuff. For sound, I use noise canceling headphones almost all the time. And then for textures, I just stay away from that stuff, you know, stay away from the things that I hate. Appliance noises, humming sounds, yes. You know, did you know that a short circuit on a on a electrical wire is in B flat. I knew that, but I don't think anybody else actually hears that and has correlated it to being in the tune of B flat. Maybe I need some water. Maybe I do. Maybe I do, Ocean View. But yeah, so trigger warning for cotton bombs. Sorry, Anne. I have to say it though, because here's the thing. When I say it and people react, it didn't work. I am so sorry. When I say it and others in chat react, it's kind of validating for everyone else, right? Like, oh, this is a real thing. Even though it gives you like a quick like jolt and you picture it and you feel it, like it does kind of remind everyone, hey, we all feel this. And it also shows people that how real it is when people say, yeah, cotton, F cotton, you know? So, you know, why do we all hate cotton? Well, because it disorients us severely, you know? And all of you can attest to it because of that. All right, now I need to figure out why that overlay is not working. And actually what I'll do is I'll just do this. We'll go overlays off, and then we'll go back to overlays on. And well, that didn't work. That just did something else. Let me see here. This is part of like a tool that I created to help me with comments. So one moment, I got to reassign it to the green screen that I had created to display the comments. So yeah. Chalk bothers you. Yeah. You're not gonna be able to see me for a second because my computer's going slow. So I apologize, but I will get that taken care of. Oh, why did it go away? Not that. That. Where'd it go? It was there. There we go. All right. Overlay, apply. All right. And then let's test the water thing real fast because I think it'll work now. There we go. Water. Overlays should work now. I still have these dolls. I gotta explain them. What's a sensation or feeling we do like? I was wearing earlier like a blend shirt that did feel good, but I was like sweating through it, and so it was like showing like all these sweat spots all over me. And so I was like, maybe another day. But yeah, that soothing selves with like soft things. You know what I mean? For me, that kind of helps when it's like not a bunch of little fibers. Now stuff like this, it's okay because I don't feel like every little fiber because it feels like one thing. Okay, going like this still feels like one thing. Okay, but if it's something like the C word, all right, that you feel every little fiber, you feel every little thing, and when you're like pulling it apart, you can feel all of it. And it's too overwhelming because you can feel every little part of it. It's too much for your nervous system, and so that's why you freak out. Because your nervous system's like, no, that's too much. That's too much. You know. I like tight feeling shirts. See, that's the thing is like I realize tight fitting shirts, I don't like them, regardless of the material. And that's recent too. I usually wear like exact size. Now I wear a size bigger just because like it needs to flow a little bit more. I'm realizing that it like, even though I liked wearing like the shirts that fit me, that wearing bigger shirts actually helped. So I don't like tight clothing. I haven't tried tight clothing. Yeah, the sports shirts. Yeah, like I remember like my soccer shirt that I wore as a kid. Like I loved wearing it, you know, because I mean of the material that it was. You know, you always hate tight fitting clothes. Yeah, I think it's kind of like really like a preference for a lot of people. But for me, like I feel a lot like wherever I'm wearing a shirt, like so many different like sensory things, and so it's like it has to be something that doesn't trigger it, you know. I'm gonna go play Candyland with my son. Good night, guys. Thank you. Your hope friend Marcy, thank you. I appreciate you coming in, and I appreciate your DM as well. Truly like it. Um, I appreciate it. It was also the only shirts with no tags. Yeah, tags are pain in the butt. It's like, and the thing is where the tag goes is often where your nerve spikes start. Okay, it's like right in that same general area. So those tags are like teasing the area where you start to feel the overwhelm. It's taunting it practically, you know. As soon as I got home, it felt like everything apart from tiredness lifted off of me. So like you're feeling better now, like you're good, and hopefully regulated and all that stuff. Let me see. Hold on a second. Gotta check something real fast. See. Hold on just a second. Sorry, guys. I got to respond to a message. Does somebody want to be a co-guest? And do you want to be a... Wait, no. And do you want to be a guest on the live and you can talk to everybody? For like a minute? Or does anybody want to be the guest that talks to everybody? Who would like to be the host? The fill-in host for like 2 minutes? Actually, whoever wants to be, just request. And, clicking the guest thing on the bottom. That shows like the 2 people. And if I trust you enough, I'll accept it. But just a second. Let's see. No one's. Well, I guess you guys are just gonna talk and chat then. Okay. All right. I am back. Let me make sure people aren't being too mad at me. I run a business in my hyperfixation photography and videography. When I do weddings, I crash. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. And I can imagine a lot of it is the stress. You have to capture the moments, right? You have to be able to. Oh, there's Anne. Okay, Anne, you can come in anyway. We're gonna hang out with Anne, unless Anne doesn't want to anymore, and then she can just leave. Great. Thanks, Anne. Just waiting a minute. Waiting a minute because it's taking a while. But yeah, when the sound comes, it'll come back on in a second. It just for some reason it takes a while to load the actual guests. Are you there now? There you are. There you are. That was fun. Yes. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Okay. Hold on just a second. Now, okay, now you had to talk because now I got to do something again. All right. So tell everybody everything that you like about me, or whatever you want to talk about. Talk about something else. And I'm so grateful too that to be able to help you and then to also hear that because it like is like the best thing I could hear, to be honest. It really is. Okay. Um uh okay. Yeah, I think. All right, cool. How's it going, Anne? It's going. Yeah. Um. You have gone quiet though. I don't know what happened, but you got a little quieter. Yeah. I don't know. You have to talk again. Is it better, everyone? I mean I have like headphones on and stuff, so. But yes. Okay. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, you're not used to going live and doing all that stuff, so. Well, I'm happy that you're going live right now with me. It's fun. You know. Yeah. Do you want to play guitar and sing now too? Yeah. Well, you know, I fooled everyone. You saw that. Yeah, but anyone could have guitars in the back of the wall, right? Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, cool. Hey, Millie. Um, SLE asks if you have ADHD. Yeah. it's kind of difficult when you feel like you have like multiple things that you want to get taken care of, but then it's like you realize that if you don't focus on just one, you never get anywhere with any of them, you know. So yeah, it can be a challenge. Um, yeah. And coincidentally, I have a son named Wells, but it's spelled different and pronounced different. Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. And I know what it really is, but it's in the vault. Yep. I said it's in the vault. I'm not gonna reveal it. Yeah. Hmm. Yes, yes. But oh, Joseph. And well, my name's not actually Tim. It is. That was too easy for you to get. I did. Dang! Now my ADHD is really like making me look bad. Okay, so if people guess, I'm gonna have to put a filter over my face because if they actually do guess it, I'm probably not gonna be able to hide the fact that somebody got it. You know. So I'm just actually gonna go like this. All right, people start guessing what Anne's real name is. I can see the words. No, I don't think you should give any hints though. Yeah, well, and that's the thing is that like there's a certain structure of how people feel like it will fit in, right? Yeah. I have like two friends that, well, three now, who have the same name as you. So it's common enough, you know, because I also don't. No, no hints, no hints, no hints, no hints, no hints. Because I mean, people are not taking it seriously if they're coming up with things that are so like vastly different. You know what I mean? Like, like that's basically underperforming to get a hint. No, we don't do that. um, Googling Welsh names, is that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, so I like really mine is like very simple and common. Like very simple and common. Sorry, go ahead. No hints. We need a handicap. Well, let me surprise you with something. Okay. Technically, the things that I deal with are considered a handicap. So if you need one, I can gladly give you one. In fact, I'll give you one right now. Here's ADHD. You can have this one. Here's your handicap. All right. Um, from Millie. All right. How did you feel about after finding out you had ADHD, autism? Um, at first, I was grieving it and really upset that it took so long, and then shortly after, just kind of like acceptance and then understanding of how it impacted me, and then eventually was kind of more giving myself grace and forgiving myself for how I treated myself because of it, and then eventually moving towards trying to get it under control because now I had opportunity to get it under control. So that's kind of like how it was. That's a short version. Joso, do you have combined type? Because maybe you could just get a little more, maybe some hyperactivity in there. Of course, Millie. We gotta. Why is this going so slow? I'll just do it here. There we go. All right. If you want to give a hint, give a hint. If you feel like a hint is warranted, I just, I don't think it's been earned yet. That's my thing. That's just me, though. That's just me. I feel like it needs to be earned a little more. But see, now here's the thing. Are you actually going to say yes when they guess? Okay, okay. All right. Keep the bar high. Yeah, see, that's just it. That's just it. Don't get lazy brained. Like, get yourself thinking about it. Come on. Like these are typical ADHD answers, just the quick ones to throw out there. Like, get into it. I guess you're gonna have to give them a first letter if you want to. Or maybe what you could do is give a hint that then reveals what the first letter is. Get even more layered. Oh, okay. Here's one. I got a hint. I got a hint. All right, for the first letter. It is, a lot of people say that I look like this person. It's also the first letter of that person's name. You know that? You don't, or you do? Oh, okay, cool. Because actually a lot of people do, and in here too. Oh, look at that. Look at that. See, somebody's paying attention. Robert Downey Jr. Tony Stark. They always say Tony Stark. And really it's because like the way that my beard grows naturally is like the way he shaves it down. So I think that's part of it. And then also I wear those colored glasses sometimes. So yeah, so let me go get them while you're talking. So this is why. That's a good one though, because if it was Ryan, like you can see how the and fits in there. Oh my goodness! Spoiler alert! Okay, 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 okay. We gotta believe Millie. Believe Millie. Okay, just drop it. Believe Millie. Yeah, I love the name too. Yep, it's a great name. No, no, no. Hmm. Yeah, but I might get that fragment yeah, by staying live for so long. Me? No. I, all right, I'll search for it. I mean, I said no, but you're asking the guy with ADHD, so um, let me get into this. Yeah, the save the game. What game are you saving? Oh, it's to guess. Oh yeah. See, I never I and and so the funny thing though is that the same reason why you were named that is the same reason why both of my other friends were named that too. Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let me tell you this. I can confirm that parents do in fact lie. Yes. Um, which I did see. Yeah, you sent it to me. You sent it to me like a week and a day ago. So that's like ancient times. Right, right. But I am actually interested in knowing Ocean View's name. I really am. I've always just kind of like kept. Yeah. I think it was. I think I was just like, well, I want to respect the privacy. But now that it's being brought up, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm very curious. But go cook a casserole. Go cook a casserole. It's cool. Yeah. That wasn't misleading for a guessing game. Not at all. Not at all. How is it misleading, Joso? Do you want to come up and explain yourself? Birdie? Wait. We have Birdie in my country. OMG, I forgot the name and typed Birdie. No, no, no. I see. See, here's the thing: is you have to stop. You have to stop in this instance. This is I'm giving you like streamer pro tips right here. When you get confused, you just have to forget everything that you thought you knew about it, and then start all over and start from the top and go down, and then it makes sense. Uh, it's not necessarily a special trick. It's more of a like kryptonite, you know. Yeah, but it doesn't just happen on TikTok. It happens in Discord too. So I don't know why you're throwing in, you're making TikTok the problem, and it's not TikTok. I do. See. Here's the thing. Everything confuses me all the time. So the answer is yes, but the answer is also like, well, you're no different though than everyone else. So the problem's probably me. Well, so do I. But I think that that's still. You know what? I think the things that we deal with are typically laced with tons of confusion. So, yeah. I can't remember what is similar name that we have to Rhiannon. Oh, okay, that's what you were trying to remember. Does Ruby ever go hang out whenever you don't want to hang out? No, okay. You just don't get along. Don't really want to see each other. I think you need to give your twin grace. That's perfect. No, you know what? You're just having fun. You're just you're just enjoying life, you know? And that's all you need. I why? Oh, that video that I posted? Or are you talking about something else? Mhm. Mhm. Do it. You know what? Should I just create a special channel for sharing that stuff so that it can just be flooded into there? Okay, I'll just do that right now. Keep. All right. Insta. Well, yeah, because I can't do it. Not just Instagram. All right. Create channel. Boom. Social shares. We'll rename it to something else later, but I'm just putting it there. Dump it all in there. Renata. No, I am ready for it. Okay. See, here's the thing: is that's actually what I really like about like the algorithms is that like it delivers these things to you a lot of times rather than you actually having to seek them out. And that's how like I discover a lot of things. You know, is that it comes to me. There's Alina. How are you doing? I need to double check the best. I gotta see if I'm getting that fragment or not. You know. Were you here for that part? No, you weren't. You were driving. I'm like really close to getting the C League, and so that's why I'm like, I'll go live, get some likes. Oh, that's actually something I need to say. Like the live, please. That's the only time I'm actually gonna say to like the live. Hmm. I'm in D1, but yeah, I'm close to being able to get one more fragment that's gonna put me in the C League. So. Yeah, but I think the thing it's I think it's less about that, and I think it's more well, you get on the For You page like initially like right when you launch, right? And so you'll get people who will just kind of come in and stroll, but you're only on there for a short period of time. And when you're in the C League, it puts you on the FYP but to a larger group of people. And so then you'll have more people, right? And so then people will stroll through, but then more people will stay. Did you see my message in the last live? Let me double check. I have to go out of here and look around and stuff, but let's see. Because I'm if I did, I'll remember. But asking me to remember what the comment was would be an extremely challenging thing for me to do. Well, what was it? What was it? Been celebrating Dad turning 50. Oh no! You know what? I did. That's right. I pinned a comment because you couldn't hear. Right? You were at some place and you just said you dropped in to say hi, and so like I pinned it so that you could see that I saw it and was acknowledging it because I knew you weren't going to be able to hear me. So yes, Alina, I did, and I remembered. Go me. It just takes a little bit. I have a lot of practice now and kind of know how to like position my nerves, if that makes sense. Like how much to get anxious about it, how much to not, and all that stuff. So I find like a good spot. But when it comes to in person, that's when it's chaos. You know? But yeah, yeah, like because like when it is in person, well, like right now actually it's flowing pretty good between you and I, you know. But there's often times where it's very difficult when I'm doing a verbal talk with somebody else. You know, it's just like I don't know, I lock up a lot, but it's not happening right now. Yeah. Uh, and you're muted again. You covered the microphone. Actually, technically, it is only your fault. I know. If you want to go, if you're uncomfortable, it's totally fine. Okay, good. Okay. Alicia, I can't talk to people, and that's typically how I feel too. Um, right now, it's going good, but this is an edge case. I am usually very, 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 very not talkative. Imagine that. I feel like I need anyone try to talk. Yep. Yeah. And I think that's like, I mean, like, so I'm trying to like understand the selective mutism thing, like that actual trait and like what it means, like as a, like to see if it's like what it actually is or not. And so like I'm trying to dive more into like what the triggers and stuff would be, because I feel like what happens is that because I get to a point where it's like I want to say something, but I have no idea what to say, and then I get in my head about it, and then before you know it, it's been like 5 minutes, you know? Hmm. Right. So just to give a heads up though, real fast, I'm gonna be getting off of live in like 5 minutes. That's all. It's 6 p.m. I haven't even had dinner. I'm gonna be back on live probably. So, you actually, what time is it there for you right now? Right now, is it like 2 a.m.? Isn't it like 2 a.m. right now? So here's the thing. I'll probably be going live, but it's probably going to be sometime in your late morning. So you should be there because that's usually when people wake up and are awake and have been already awake for a few hours. I don't know. I don't know. Probably about the same time it is for you. So not really anything that you would be able to comment on. I know. I could look at. Here's the thing. I could have gone to bed, but I wanted to hang out, and so I did. Like, what's so wrong with that? I know sometimes I need to prioritize sleep, and that just wasn't one of those times. Maybe that'll be tonight. Maybe. If not tonight, maybe tomorrow night. But it'll be one of these nights. um, Alina saying, been struggling with selective mutism a lot recently. Do you think a lot of it is like sort of like stress or pressure, like that kind of thing? Because I know like you've been like kind of trying to like adjust to that stuff, because a lot of that stuff could also just be like that too, you know. But I only say that because it's like understanding it makes it a little less chaotic when there's a reason, you know. Why? What's going on? Anne, listen, listen, listen. You're supposed to take care of yourself. You're supposed to do all these things to. Okay, yes. Yeah, and I mean, I take care of myself too, right? You know, and but I don't do the sleep thing, but I do everything else. Are you saying I'm taking care of myself if I don't sleep? Because I take my medicine. I do, yeah. But I don't sleep. Am I taking care of myself? I am. I drink water all the time. It says 30 ounces, not that much, but there's still many more hours left in the day. I have 6 hours to drink 70 more ounces. I don't know. I don't know what that is in non-American, but it's a decent amount. Yeah. Well, for reference, so I mean, well, can't really reference because it's video, but this is a 32 ounce. So it's basically three of these that I have to drink. Now you're comparing it to non-American, and it's like foreign to me. Like you could be saying it's like 12 parsecs, and I would be like, okay, sure, you know. Okay, looks like a liter. You know what? To be honest with you, I didn't. Yeah, it probably is. Go ahead, sir. I passed math, but that's because I was my own teacher and I gave myself an A. Yeah. I never got in trouble too. No? Yeah. But were you able to like, kind of come back from that, or was it something that you still continue to struggle with? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Seniors usually when you're 18. Yeah. Or 17, 18. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now's the time for me to get off live. I'm so sorry. But actually, someone's here, so that's the reason why I got to go. Um, hmm, ish. Okay, I will. We'll see. Maybe. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you for being a part of this safe space. If you want to join the Discord, link in my profile. What, Anne? I got somebody waiting at the door. Okay, fine. All right. Bye, everyone. I'll be back later. Take care. See you all. Bye.